My name's Richard Stanley. I'm a filmmaker. I've made several feature films, notably an exploding android movie called Hardware. I also had a famous fight with Val Kilmer 25 years ago that screwed up my career. Otherwise, I make documentaries.
Why did you screw up your career? Because you're talking to a woman that is disruptive all the time, but it's getting me places. Why would you say that?
Because you're meant to always say yes to the superstars, and I'm the idiot who said no. It's Val wanted a treehouse and he wanted to sleep with one of the women on the movie. I said no, you can't do that. He fired me, which is.
In the world of fashion, it's cutthroat industry, and I'm very new to film.
Yeah.
Is it the same?
Yeah, pretty much the same. In that, really, you have to say yes. When someone like Val or Time Warner tell you to do something, you can't really say no. I have a moral problem with that, or you need to rethink. Of course, at that time I was so young. I was foolish and stuck by my plan and tricky. I mean, I would say a director is a general in charge of an army of traitors, because none of them are there because they're actually your friends. All those people are there for their own careers. They're trying to, or they're trying to sleep with someone on the set, or they're trying to get another job. They all have their own motivation. And so long as everyone on the movie's motivation is going in the same direction for the good of the feature film, everything works. The moment someone's personal needs diverge from the greater good of the movie, you start to have conflicts of interest. So it's my job to make certain everyone is going in the same direction and are all pulling together, even though they have multiple different reasons for being there. You have to try to understand their needs, their desires, and if so long as they're getting what they think they want out of it, then they will be loyal and stand by you. But they will not be loyal just because they love you.
Wow. Your script writer, your current script writer, can you talk about when you look at a script, how do you know it's ready to go? How do you know that, right, this is finished, let's put paper into film?
Well, it's seldom completely finished, but I read them aloud. I read the scripts over and over again to myself and out loud, backwards and forwards, until some kind of flow starts to happen, until you start to feel that you've got the laughs and the scares and the pace is in the right place. And when you're reading a script, it should read at the same speed as a movie. One page should be 1 minute, and you should be able to read a script in 90 minutes or 85 minutes and then put the thing down. If you get 30 pages through and you can't go any further and you put the script down, something is wrong. Then you have to see why it is that you got bored and you lost energy about 30 pages in, and because something happened with the pace that meant you started checking your texts instead, and you can start to feel where there's a problem with the structure, because a good script should grab you, and it should pull you right the way through the movie to the end without you having to work to keep reading. It should be the same as watching a good film.
In the last 24 hours, I'm talking to different filmmakers with different budgets. How do you get around those obstacles? We're talking about a film of 2 million, a film of 75 million, you know? How do you work around those obstacles?
Well, they're all different kinds of obstacles.
Right.
But sometimes it's easier to work in the low budget, just because you have less politics. Greed is not such an issue. The moment you go over a certain budget level, you can't trust anyone. I mean, most people will do anything for a couple of grand. For 100 grand, almost anyone will betray you. For 1 million, people will. It cuts a lot of ties. Like on Island of Dr. Moreau, for 75 million, for so much money you can't trust your own mother or your own partner. For that kind of money, anyone will do anything. So on a high budget, this becomes a much more paranoid situation, because you know that for 6 figures. People would sell their own children. It's a tricky thing. Usually a few years to try and find the right piece of material, and often the movie gets made when it really needs to get made. Sometimes the thing which is superfluous that's been done before just naturally dies the death. I mean, in the next one I'm working on from a story by H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft lived in the 1920s, so almost in the course of 100 years, no one has succeeded in adapting one of these stories properly for me. It was the same on Island of Dr. Moreau of H.G. Wells, that I felt that the story was around for more than a century, and that no one had succeeded in actually doing the story justice. So these things were things I kept thinking about since I was a child. And if in the course of this time, if Stanley Kubrick or Ingmar Bergman or Andrei Tarkovsky had made a great Lovecraft movie or Wells movie, then I would not bother. But the fact that there was still nothing, that there's only like Charles Band movies and exploitation films, made me think, okay, someone has to take this material and do it justice. And
wow. Do you believe in God?
my problem is I believe in gods. Plural. I don't think that if there's just one, which I think if we have to believe that there is a higher intelligence or some kind of force behind reality, I don't see any evidence to suggest that there is just one force. I get the horrible impression that maybe there are competing forces or opposing issues going on out there.
I guess because you're a filmmaker, so what's happening in the mind is transcending. You can't just have one kind of belief in anything, because you're creating fantasy, sometimes a reality.
And I sometimes think reality is made like a film. I sometimes think that reality is created like real-time animation, that maybe it's written by algorithms, like in the same way that computer animation is written. I don't think it's necessarily a god would be like a human-style intelligence, like a big father figure for Beard. It's more like a series of formula or like I say, algorithms that write what seemingly random events and grow these different chains of coincidence and fairly spontaneously.
When I grew up and when you grew up, there was like a TV and that was about it, and one screen. It's amazing what I've done with a phone in 3 years. How does that affect the way you film now, how you create? On screen you've got YouTube, you've got so much competition, I guess.
Well, the technology is much more accessible,
right.
But I find that because of that, people are much slacker in the way that they work. In that people pay less attention and they plan their shooting much more poorly. They think that they can shoot handheld and fix it in post, and fewer people storyboard and fewer people plan shot by shot. And I'm from a generation that still likes to believe that every time you move the camera, the movement should have some meaning. That rather than it just being moving to create movement, I like to know that it's going left to right or right to left for a reason. I like to feel my lead character has got more space behind their head in the scene and less in front of their nose because of a reason within the movie. So I still like to plan the spatial dynamics of it all. And I think people put less attention into this now. They're more careless, which is a shame because the equipment is so great. We can shoot in low light conditions. The cameras are so light that now we can make much more exciting rigs for cameras. We have drones and the equipment is very exciting, but maybe it's not applied with as much thought as it could be.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of interviewing Sir John Hurt last year, and one of the questions I asked, and this is great because I can ask the reverse, I said to him, when you get a bad script, how do you handle it as an actor? I'm asking you, when you've got an actor or actress in front of you that is really not working with you, how do you pull them into your film? How do you get the best out of them, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, the technique I've evolved over the years now is what I call the Columbo technique, which is that I try to study everything about the movie in advance, so that I've got everything pre-planned. I've usually drawn the scene and sketched it and run it through in my head in 9 different ways. But when I arrive on set, I always act like I'm an idiot, and I don't know what's going on. And I like to come with my cast to the location before the crew is set up, and I go, wow, how are we going to do this? what are we going to do today? And what's your idea? And I act like I don't know what's going on, and I let the actors show me first what they're thinking. And I don't come and say we're doing this and tell them and immediately order them or tell them what I want. I pretend I don't know what I want. Secretly, I know exactly what I want, but I've stopped revealing this. I don't let the actors see my drawings or the storyboards. I don't show them any of the planning. I pretend that I'm completely unplanned, and that the whole thing is improvisational. And that way around, they feel they have the chance to express whatever it is they want to express. And if it works, I will use it. If it doesn't work, at least they feel they've had the chance to put out whatever it is that they've brought with them.
Can we talk a little about costume?
Absolutely.
Do you have that influence as well? Because
I'm fairly lucky in that by accident, I think on the early movies and the music videos, we accidentally innovated a look which hadn't existed before, which was that we took spaghetti western imagery and married it with science fiction and goth imagery. But I firmly believe that before the Fields of the Nephilim and the Mission promos, that the goth scene had not yet discovered long coats and hats and Cuban heels. I think we cross-pollinated spaghetti western stuff into the goth scene through these different bands and the stuff in the early 80s. Before that, all the goths looked like Edward Scissorhands or The Cure. Now, any number of films that have been taking off from the look of Carl McCoy, the original lead singer, this has come through. We see in movies like Van Helsing and things, this goth cowboy look, which I think was something we gave to the goth scene, and not all, for good and for bad. Like, I know that when in the Columbine shootings, for instance, the bad kids, before they massacred the other kids, dressed up in their long coats, which I hope wasn't our fault. But for sure, it makes some kind of crazy contribution. Now, when we see in a movie a shot of a pair of Durango originals with pointy toes walking across, say, tarmac at night, close-up boots, you know the bad guys arrived. That this has become a signature for the devil or for something evil. Originally it was stuff from spaghetti westerns, but I think we have put a different spin on this.
My final question, we all have our David versus Goliath moment in our career, where in some cases people give up. Could you give us an example of one and how you worked through it?
On Dust Devil, the second movie I made, the production company making the film went into receivership before the film was completed and was taken over by Polygram, which was a corporate giant who took control of the production and wrote the movie off for an insurance loss. So the film was not edited, and the rushes were kept by one company, the soundtrack was kept by another company, the film was in different pieces. So it took maybe 3 years to find all the pieces of the film, and I had to get authorization from some of the backers of the film who had not been paid. Eventually I got authorization from the Berliner Bank and from Channel 4 Television to act on their behalf to try and retrieve the assets from the company. Then I had to individually go and get the different pieces of the film, which also meant having to deal first with Polygram, and then when Polygram itself collapsed, they were broken up by MGM, and some of the rights ended up being held by Buena Vista, by the Mouse. So it meant having to deal with these stupid corporate giants who didn't care about the movie, just in order to bring the elements together to edit it and to eventually get the film out. And it took a few years and legal files like you can't believe to go through it. But as a result, the film eventually was completed. But this was I believe also, for about 2 years it was impossible. And I just almost gave up. And then it was from watching, I went and saw a triple bill of Once Upon a Time in the West and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid and the Wild Bunch, and seeing these old westerns again reminded me of how the characters, little people, have to make a stand against impossible odds. Even though you know you're going to get massacred, you're still going to stand against the army or whatever. And after that, I thought, okay, I will fight Miramax, I will fight Buena Vista, I will do whatever I have to do to get this thing out.
Oh, we're so glad you did. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
no,
wouldn't
it's,
be
I
here.
would not be here otherwise. So it's that was one crazy. That's one battle I won. Moreau, I lost the battle, but Dust Devil at least was a success in the end.
Do we lose? Is that how you see failure? I look at challenges as, okay, the door's closed, move on.
Yeah, I mean Moreau is a big problem for everyone. That was took 25 years to sort out.
I write many articles, fashion versus style. Fashion's what everyone buys into, and style is who you are. And I'm looking at you this morning thinking, well, this is you.
Yeah,
Am I
I
right?
just crawled out of bed, so yeah, I've not had time to even look in the mirror.
Right. So it's
After stitches, I feel like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards.
thank you so much for your time. My own thinking, I'm finding men 38 plus really excel as actors. What's your theory on it?
Well, I think we get to a certain point in our lives and we stop pretending to be that person and you actually are that person finally. I mean, when I was young, I was admiring people like Lee Van Cleef, the great spaghetti western heroes. This was still from a time when in the average spaghetti western, most of the lead actors were in their mid-40s or quite late in life. I mean, all these guys, Charles Bronson and Lee Van Cleef and Eli Wallach and people only came to stardom at quite a late point in their lives. And when I was young, maybe I was trying to put white streaks in my hair to make myself look older, and I would be dressing up to try and make myself look more impressive. Now I don't need to bother because I've simply become this person.
Would you say it's less gracious to female? Why is the silver screen less gracious to female actresses? We seem to be more in our 20s.
Yeah, this is extremely unfortunate that there's still not enough great parts for women of a certain age, which is very, very frustrating. I mean, I find I have a hard time casting all of the different actresses that I was fond of 20 years ago, because now they've reached a point in time where I can no longer cast them as the ingenue, as the female lead. And
it'll make or break a movie, doesn't it? That's why.
Yeah, this remains very unfair. But I also feel like even with male actors these days, there are too many of them for me are too young. I miss the cragginess of people's faces from the 70s, and I miss the unusual nature of some of the stars we used to have. I'm sorry that we don't have a Lee Van Cleef or a Klaus Kinski anymore. They're people who have these extremely unusual looking cheeks, faces and eyes. Many of the male actors to me now are very male model bland and not with the same quirkiness and the character that we're used to.
But you've got the influence. We can bring it. It's a call out. You can call out for it. I agree.
Yeah.